Did you know Channing Tatum was all set to bring Gambit, the card-throwing X-Man, to life in his own blockbuster movie? Imagine a superhero film not about saving the world, but a thrilling heist in the heart of Louisiana, bursting with intrigue and danger. Yet, despite Tatum's passion and a ready to dazzle, this movie never made it past the drawing board. Join us as we uncover the twists and turns behind the cancelled Gambit film that could have redefined superhero cinema. Channing Tatum appeared in a promotional photo wearing a Gambit t-shirt to signal his upcoming role in a new X-Men and Fantastic Four universe. He was supposed to debut in X-Men Apocalypse and then star in his own movie, but that never happened. Problems started to pop up behind the scenes. There were disagreements about the movie's direction and the character. This caused delays. Even the script had to be rewritten several times, and changes in the movie industry and company mergers added even more problems, and after a lot of waiting and planning, the project was quietly dropped. Channing Tatum's Gambit could have added a new, exciting character to the superhero world. Instead, fans were left with only anticipation and then disappointment as the project was never completed. Gambit first got popular from X-Men the animated series in the early 90s. Even though he was a fan favorite, making a movie about him was always hard. He was always supposed to be in the first X-Men movie, but they cut him out because of budget issues. They tried again in X2. Hugh Jackman's stuntman James Bamford was almost Gambit in a scene where Professor X almost kills all mutants. But they cut this cameo from the final movie too. But Gambit did show up a little bit on a computer screen in Stryker's office. So, what was Tatum's big idea for Gambit? Channing Tatum really wanted his Gambit movie to stand out. He wasn't aiming for another typical superhero blockbuster about saving the world. Instead, he envisioned a more personal story set in a smaller scope, focusing on a heist in Louisiana packed with lots of twists. To help craft this story, Fox brought on Josh Zetmer, known for his work on Quantum of Solace and RoboCop. Fox planned to make it a big deal, budgeting a massive $150 million in hopes of making Gambit the next big face of the X-Men franchise, much like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. The movie was set to start in 1984, right after X-Men Apocalypse. It opens with Gambit on trial, and then dives into his backstory through flashbacks. We see him first as a 6-year-old homeless orphan in New Orleans' mutant slum. He meets a local thief, Luke Lau, who takes him in and raises him. As he grows up, Gambit falls for Bella Boudreaux, who comes from a rival crime family. They keep their romance and mutant powers secret, hoping to bring their feuding families together with a joint bank heist. But when the heist fails, Gambit is blamed, loses everything, and moves to Paris. Years later, the chaos following Magneto's actions in Apocalypse led to New Orleans being permanently flooded. In this chaos, a mysterious trunk becomes crucial. It belongs to the geneticist Nathaniel Essex, also known as Mr. Sinister, and it's said to contain a drug that gives temporary superpowers. Essex convinces Gambit to come back and steal it from the thieves who took it. The heist unfolds like a scene straight out of Ocean's 11, with Gambit's crew using their powers to pull off the job. But when Gambit opens the trunk, he finds not drugs, but a young mutant girl whose powers Essex wants to exploit. Gambit discovers X's lab, where he's been using mutant children to make his drug, and learns he himself was one of those children discarded by Essex as a baby. Angry and shocked, Gambit confronts Essex. The climax reveals that the ongoing trial is actually a distraction, a part of a clever plan by the Laos to rob Essex and expose his criminal activities while he's occupied in court. Despite such an amazing concept, the film never got made. But what went wrong with the directors? Why did they keep leaving? Channing Tatum was determined to bring his vision of Gambit to life and initially chose Rupert Wyatt, the director of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, to helm the project. Wyatt shared Tatum's passion for Gambit and was excited about the direction of the film, but everything started to unravel when the Fantastic Four reboot flopped. This caused Fox to get cold feet, slashing Gambit's budget and demanding a script rewrite to fit the smaller budget. Wyatt didn't agree with the changes and left the project, believing that the new budget wouldn't do the story justice. With Wyatt's departure, Fox was left scrambling for a new director and postponed the film's start date. They even altered the post-credit scene in X-Men Apocalypse from introducing Gambit to setting up the Essex Corporation instead. The search for a new director led to a series of quick changes. Doug Liman, known for American Made and Edge of Tomorrow, came on board next. Unhappy with the existing script, Liman started rewriting it to put his own mark on the project, but then he left too. Gore Verbinski, known for directing the original Pirates of the Caribbean's movies, was next to join the project. Things looked promising when they considered Lizzie Kaplan to play Bella instead of Léa Seydoux. But creative differences caused Verbinski to leave too. After Gore Verbinski left the project, Fox initially aimed to keep their March filming schedule, but ended up pulling Gambit from their production lineup by January 2018. They were still searching for a replacement director, hoping the new June 19 release would be perfect for a summer Marvel movie. The film, planned to have a comedic heist-focused tone, was also rewritten to feature more of a New Orleans vibe. By April 2018, the producers were meeting with several directors. By May, Simon Kinberg, one of the producers, mentioned that he and Tatum were pleased with the current script and were close to choosing a new director, potentially starting filming by late summer. Despite the looming Disney acquisition of 21st Century Fox, Kinberg emphasized that Gambit was still a priority and the acquisition hadn't yet impacted their plans. As different directors came and went, the movie script changed a lot. It started as a heist film, but turned into an R-rated romantic comedy. This change was because Fox wanted each X-Men spin-off to match the main character's traits, like Deadpool being bold and funny, and Logan being like a Western movie. They wanted Gambit's movie to be a romantic story similar to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, showing Gambit's smooth-talking and adventurous side. By this time, Channing Tatum, deeply invested in the Gambit movie much like Ryan Reynolds was with Deadpool, thought about directing the movie himself with his producing partner Reed Carolyn. But Fox Studios did not like that idea because neither of them had directed a feature film before. Despite this setback, Tatum and Carolyn did go on to co-direct Dog in 2022. But the final nail in the coffin for Gambit was when Disney bought Fox. Disney decided to cancel the Gambit movie and take it off the upcoming movie schedule. Although Tatum was really disappointed, he admitted that his attempt to direct was more out of a desperate attempt to save the project, and in hindsight, it might not have been the best move. Still, he remained interested in playing Gambit someday. He wasn't ready to give up on the character just yet. Did you know Gambit was almost in another X-Men movie though? For X-Men The Last Stand, director Bryan Singer had big plans to introduce Gambit properly. He even wanted Keanu Reeves to play the role. But when Singer left to direct the 2006 Superman Returns, those plans fell apart. Still, the idea of adding Gambit to the movie continued even after Singer's departure. One version of the script had Gambit as a student at Xavier's school, caught up in a love triangle with Iceman and Rogue. Another version showed him as a mutant prisoner freed by Magneto. Josh Holloway was nearly picked to play Gambit, but he had to step back because of his schedule with the TV show Lost. The producers then thought once again about casting Channing Tatum. However, they eventually decided against it. The writers felt that putting Gambit in such a small role wasn't fair to the character. They believed he needed as much screen time as Beast to really do the character justice. So, in the end, Gambit was cut from the final script of The Last Stand. But Gambit finally made it to the big screen in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but not with Channing Tatum as originally planned. Tatum had to drop out because of scheduling conflicts with G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, and Taylor Kitsch took his place. Kitsch signed a 3-picture deal, hinting at big plans for Gambit similar to the strategy Fox used for Deadpool. The idea was to introduce Gambit in Wolverine and then give him his own solo films, but as we've seen, things almost never go as planned. X-Men Origins Wolverine wasn't well received by fans or critics, and neither was Kitsch's performance as Gambit. To make matters worse, Kitsch's other films, John Carter and Battleship, also didn't turn him into the star the studios had hoped for. Meanwhile, Channing Tatum still had a strong desire to play Gambit, even after all the setbacks. He felt a personal connection to the character, having grown up near New Orleans and being familiar with the local dialects. Considering Tatum's status as an A-lister and Kitsch's recent setbacks, Fox decided to go back to their first choice, and Kitsch was supportive of this decision. Now, with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, there's no doubt we'll be seeing more of Tatum's Gambit very, very soon. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes movie content. Stay tuned for more exciting insights and untold stories, and we'll see you in the next one.